Okay guys, here we are today. Finally I'm back, my leg is healed and I'm ready to go. I'm ready to work on my 3.5 liter 2003 Kia Sedona. This car has 200,000 miles on it, and it looks like what's happened to it this time. The harmonic balancer, the rubber in the harmonic balancer is split. Let me get down there and I'll show you what I'm talking about. Now I've got the wheel off already and the inside fender cover off just to expedite things. But anyway, what we're going to be looking at today, excuse the movement, but we're going to be taking this harmonic balancer off right here. This bolt has to come off, but first we got to take these two belts off. Now, I don't know if you can see it or not real well, but here's one of the tensioners right here. Now this has two bolts holding on. Here's one, and here's another one. Both of these have to be just loosened up, okay? And then what's going to happen is this a tensioner adjustment bolt right here just has to be loosened. That has to be loosened quite a way, and then we can take the belt off that goes on that back pulley. Now on this other serpentine belt, that one that drives the air conditioner and all that, we have another idler wheel. Let me see if I can locate it for you. Okay, here's the other idler wheel right here. There's a bolt right here. This has to be loosened. And then underneath here, where my finger is, if I can get the camera to it, right there, that bolt has to be loosened. And then this will adjust so that the belt can be loosened up and taken off. This belt right here. After that, again, we'll come back to the harmonic balancer and we'll take it off. Now, I'm going to show you why I'm changing this. I was getting a terrible squeak out of the belt. I didn't know which belt it was. But I finally, using a spraying it on this pulley right here, I could quiet it down, but I kept hearing this rattling going on right here. So I was thinking maybe the main bearing was worn out. But after I got underneath, and I'm going to show you right here, if you can see it, where my finger is, this rubber right here, you can see, that is not supposed to be sticking out like that. And then that's causing this belt to lean to one side and rub against that right there on the pulley wall, and that's what's making it squeal and do all that terrible squealing and such as that. So we're going to go ahead and get that off and get it broken down. I'll show you step by step as I get things done, but first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to loosen this bolt and loosen this bolt so that I can get this front belt off, and then I can get to this rear belt back here. Okay? Okay guys, now we're getting ready to loosen this. Now we just take this, I've already done it, but I'm just going to show you. I take a 14mm short socket with a ratchet, and I turn it about a half a turn. Then I get it to still a 14mm also on this bottom bolt, and turn it counterclockwise until this belt gets loose enough to come off of there. Just keep turning it until you know you can slip it off. It's going to take a little bit, but not too much. Okay, let's see what we got. Maybe we can get it now. Okay, we see that idler wheel moving pretty easy, and I can slip that belt right off that harmonic balancer just like that, nothing to it. I'm not going to take it all the way off because I don't need to, and then I can just won't have to fight getting it back around that. Now we're going to go over to the other idler wheel right over here and do the same thing. We're going to loosen these. Let me get over here. We're going to loosen this bolt. Excuse my camera work. We're going to loosen this bolt and this bolt over here next to it. You'll see it on your bracket. And then underneath right here, let me get my other hand there. I'm sorry for the movement, folks. This bolt right here, and we're going to loosen that one until again we can slip this belt off. Then we're going to come over to the harmonic balancer and try to pop this bolt out. Now sometimes these are really hard to get off, and sometimes they even, they break. This is what's really notorious about this belt. This pulley has to sit out on the end of the crankshaft like that, but so this is but this one lasted 200,000 miles, so I'm not griping. Okay, so I'm going to come back to you. I'm going to go ahead and loosen these bolts like I said, and then take this one off, and I'll assume that's probably a 14mm again. Let me check it real quick. Yeah, okay, so that same 14mm wrench and socket will work on that. I am going to put a longer socket on it though, so I don't have to be hitting my hand or belt and my wrench against my belt there, and that should make it easier. And then I'll come underneath and just loosen this one right here, and I might have to put a wrench on that one. Looks like I'm gonna have to use a wrench. It looks like a 14 millimeter. Oh no, it slipped on. So okay, I'll come back and get that one after I loosen these two. I can't do that with just one hand, so I'll come back and show you when I get it done. Okay guys, I've got that this idler wheel loosened up. Like I said, I loosened this bolt, and this bolt's right up here, right, you can tell it's part of the bracket. And then underneath there's this bolt right here. Okay, you just keep turning that till this part right here, you'll see where it slides in a slide here, but it's all the way down to get this belt off. Now I'm just going to turn these wheels and see, you know, that there's no looseness or no tightness. And on the other side, while I got that off too, I'll just check those, make sure there's no looseness or any tightness or any of that, and they all look pretty good. So I'm very, very glad of that, because I know for sure. But now I'm going to get underneath here and I'm going to show you why I'm going to change this harmonic balancer. I want you to see on this particular pulley right here, you see that rubber that I was telling you about right here in my hand? I'm going to take this wheel and I'm going to put my hand on this back one, and I'm just going to push against it. Watch the movement in that wheel. You gotta watch right here. Watch there. Watch this move when I push against it there. You'll see. You see that? There can't be any movement in that. That's why I knew this was broken, because I saw this gap and how this was warped out here. And as a matter of fact, when I tried to get the piece off, it would hardly come off. So that's what we're going to be working on. Or it might be something else, but okay, we'll see when we get in there. All right. Now I'm going to take my harmonic balancer off. Normally I like to get on these with an extension out here and work on them, but because this could be tight, I'm going to get close to that as possible so I don't get any spinning around or problems like that. And I'm going to use my 1/2 inch power gun. I bet that's 14 too. No, it's going to be up. I'm going to have to check that and I'll let you know. I'll get back to the video for you. Okay guys, we're back, and now I've got this harmonic balancer off, but now I'm going to be honest with you. To get this bolt out right here without stripping the end, now you can put either an extension in there, 1/2 inch extension, or you can put a socket over the top. What I like to use an air impact socket. Now this is a 22 millimeter, and that's exactly what you got to have. If you don't use the right size socket, you're going to have trouble. So you need to make sure you can get you an air impact 22 millimeter socket, and then that will fit right on top of that bolt, no problem. Okay. And now, if you don't have a compressor and an air hammer or an electric ratchet with some really good torque, you're going to have trouble getting that bolt into that crankshaft. Now, this is your timing pulley right there that fits back on your crankshaft. Now, this harmonic balancer sets on the end of that crankshaft, just like that right there. And so what you see here is this is hanging off the end. And a lot of times what will happen, this will break this bolt. This is a poor design, and they have improved it on the later years, but this does break quite a bit, this bolt. So I always make sure I put never seize on that, even though it's holding a harmonic balancer. Once you torque it properly, it'll stay in. But where this harmonic balancer has gone bad, if you can see, I'm going to try to zero in on this. Right around the edge right here, you can see that when I get real close, there's a split in the rubber all the way around. Now that was causing this pulley to go in, and you can see right here in the front. See on the front how that's starting to come apart right there? Now just from experience, I pretty much knew what was going on with it when I heard the squeaking, because it was not a constant squeaking but intermittent. And then when I started the engine, I looked down at the harmonic balancer, and the harmonic balancer was just doing just a little bit of shimmying back and forth like that. And so now I can actually take my hand and I can just push this thing right out of there. It's separated all the way around. But like I said, it waited to 200,000 miles. See that? See how that slides right in there? And when that rubber's good, you could never do that. But that's what was causing my belt to rub against the inside right here. And so if you start getting a squealing, don't automatically assume that it's going to be one of your pulleys. A lot of times it will be the idler wheel because it's a much not heavier piece like this. And those are kind of designed maybe to be the first thing to wear out. And I say maybe because I really don't know. I don't know what was in the engineer's mind. But this happens every so often too. You know, it's just part of it. But this part, this part runs, when I checked on Amazon and on Rock Auto, this part right here runs as cheap as $35 and all the way up to $89. Myself, I'm going to buy the $89 one because this one lasted 200,000 miles. And I'll bet you anything this is a Delco part. Now that Delco part's about 65. I might get that one. But yeah, this is what happens. So, anyway, taking this bolt off, oh boy, I was so glad. It gave me a little bit of trouble. I had to turn my compressor all the way up to 125, and that's maxed out. Puts a lot of stress on your gun and your hoses and stuff, but I didn't want to fool around with it. But if I had to, I would have taken and I would have put an extension in this end right here, and then I would have come outside my fender wall right here with a long extension, and I would have taken a power handle, a good long power handle like the one I have here, and I would have pulled that off with a power handle on the outside, and you can see that's nice and long, so I would have got nice tension. And normally that the compression in the engine is not going to let that crankshaft turn unless unless it's that bolt's on just so tight. In that instance right there, I would take, if I could get to it, and I know I could, I would take a chisel, a punch, and I would start punching and hitting it with a hammer around this edge right here and start trying to get this turned by pounding on it with a nice sharp chisel and whatever, because if I had to replace the bolt, I wouldn't care just as long as I can get it out. Now if the bolt had been broken, the pulley would have not been the problem if the bolt was broken, but this would have just been shimmying all over the place and making all kind of racket, and would have probably gotten out of time. Okay, I mean not out of time, but it would have just it just wouldn't spin properly, and maybe you would have lost your power steering and all kinds of things like that if that bolt broke. I'm sure you would. Okay, then we're going to get back to it after I get the part ordered and get ready to put it back on.